And we are live. The adult beverages are poured, the kids are asleep. Welcome to New Dad Gaming, a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives. The stockings are hung under the chimney with care, and my 5 and 3-year-old are asleep.
And I'm Jeff. I have a bunch of stockings that have yet to be filled, but my 10-year-old and 7-year-old are almost asleep.
That's the best part about this entire episode is, like, we're going to be talking about, like the consoles under the tree, like if that's our thing anymore, how to get games under the tree. There's a whole lot of things when we talk about Christmas.
Yeah.
And the landmine lines that Jeff needs to go around is the fact that his kids could be eavesdropping.
Yes,
so it's
they
like, so what I
could.
got them was, he looks around very seriously like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's getting progressively more dangerous when they can go to bed themselves, but then stay up for quite a few hours longer than that. So it's a little bit.
do they snoop? So I will make one mention. This is probably like the first, like the adult beverage. As part of our
Whoa.
opener, it's like the adult beverages are poured.
Yeah.
But between some weight loss I've been trying to do, fasting, and just generally being exhausted by the time we record, I don't generally drink on the show anymore.
Yeah.
But here he is, look at this, like, and super festive with eggnog and rum.
Get
Like,
eggnog, that's amazing.
oh, it's so amazing. It really makes me happy. It's gonna power me through this, I assure you.
Really? Yeah. Really
I need this.
Yeah.
Christmas. But so okay, so your kids, do they sneak? Are they trying to like find where the presents are and like get a peek, or like have you had to fight that yet?
They're not actively seeking them out, but they were definitely staying awake, more quiet than usual. Usually when they're awake, they're, stomping around, tossing around, and you can hear them and yell at them to go back to bed. Now you can kind of hear it because they don't know where the floor creaks are yet. So
Oh,
that's the key. But yeah, they're peeking.
they're finding it. I think ours have stumbled upon the presents a few times
No.
with questions of like, "What's this?" Like, "Oh, nothing," and then you just quickly steer them away before they get an idea. It's more like they notice colors.
Yeah.
I'm like, "What's this over there?" "Nothing at all, son. Come this way."
What are you talking about? Go get a cookie.
Yeah, you little ones. But and one of the first things we want to talk about, I mean, it's sort of a borderline cliche at this point, but and we're putting up a video here, which, I mean, any dads who are watching immediately brings joy, and you recognize the faces.
Yeah.
And that's when there's that console under the tree. And for us, we were talking Nintendos, Super Nintendos, N64, PlayStations. These days, like this particular compilation we're watching is kids opening Nintendo Switches, which,
Yeah.
I mean, as a gaming dad, you should probably not go through the season without watching one of these to warm your hearts.
That's right.
But do you think, Jeff, this is kind of a thing of the past? Is between the pricing and the stock and just how everything works, like, will consoles stop showing up under trees for kids, or is it still very much something we'll keep seeing?
I definitely think it's gone, or at least it's going. Again, like you said, the price point of this stuff is really, really high. So even if you have, let's say, a couple kids, and you got to split a gift, yeah, I just think everybody's strapped for cash, or at least like kind of understanding what Christmas is. Not a $700 scalped
Yeah,
PlayStation
actually, let's-
5.
Hold on. Let's Google something real fast. Google. Now we listen to Trevor Google something. SNES in today's dollars. Because I'm kind of curious about like the prices.
It's probably around the Switch price, I would assume, right?
How much? Okay, so I'm going to an article here. How much every console would cost today in today's dollars? Kids looking longingly at a GameCube. Yeah, right. The Neo Geo today would cost
Oh my
$1,179.
god. Can you imagine? Here's
Okay, Super Nintendo would cost $363.
okay.
The N64 would cost $300. This site's trying to like charge me for the information. If I can see everything, but I
Yeah,
can
we
see
got what
everything
we
I need
need.
to.
Suckers.
The PlayStation would cost $480. Nintendo, the original NES, would cost $440. That's surprising.
That is surprising. That's
I would have thought that'd be lower. Like, I understand, like, component prices come down and everything, but for some reason I thought that was really one of the first approachable ones.
Yeah.
Uh,
So maybe let me walk that back. Maybe it's gaining momentum just because more parents are gamers, and we kind of understand that. I don't know, maybe more of an impact, but then kind of put parameters around it. Because I know if I was going to do a console for my kids, that would be it. Like that would be the big gift. And we were actually considering that this year, just to kind of like a one big gift, so we don't have to run around during a pandemic trying to get multiple things. It could just
Yeah.
be one big thing. Thank you for, keeping the family together in 2020 because it's kind of crap.
yeah.
And this is it, one big shebang. So maybe I'm wrong, and it's more about, I don't know, giving that one huge console thing, and seeing those faces is pretty. I remember my face when I opened up consoles. Like it's a great feeling. So
Yeah, because what we can say, so if you were just dipping your toe, if you had kind of younger gamers who weren't really aware what it was, the Xbox Series S comes in around 350.
yeah,
So actually fairly decent price lower, much lower than the NES, which by today's dollars would be 440.
right.
Right. So technically, like the the super happy kids we're seeing getting Nintendos back in the day, we're doing that. The Switch is now 300.
I still. That's a good question. I think it's $399, but it could be $299.
Yeah. So I think that, however, so the thing that kind of taints it though is like the PS5 and the Xbox Series X both being like towards $700.
Yeah,
Like that's still much more. Right? That's a
lot.
hard one. Now, if it's for two kids, maybe.
Or you involve the grandparents. Like maybe it's an all-in, right?
Hmm.
Like it's just here you go, this and no games. You get a
Yeah.
console, you just look at it.
Yeah. So and again, I could care less to bring up the scalping again because like we've discussed that nonsense ad nauseum. But assuming that goes away and the console is widely available, I think next year would really be, there'll be some under the tree stuff this year, but I think more next year will be the time to see it if it becomes kind of a popular
Yeah.
Christmas thing for kids. So yeah, maybe not.
Maybe it's not going away. Yeah. Maybe we're
just-
perpetuating it. So
But we're just seeing these like again, if you want just like to check out these kids just like losing their minds as they're opening these consoles, like it is, man, isn't that worth some money? Like it's, especially as a gaming dad. Plus you can, like you said, you get to play it yourself. So
absolutely. It's a gift for the family. I don't know what you're
This-
talking about.
this is a family one. Now remember, kids, you can't be playing it every day. So we're gonna put this in Dad's office. And we're like,
I gotta set it up first. Hold on. Give me a week.
so that actually kind of brings up an interesting point where you had mentioned to me, I'd ask you a question which I'd like to cover later, but like your response was that in general, in some ways, you were finding you're more excited yourself
Yes.
to get to the gifts, which is as adults who used to be kids. That sounds very weird. The thought that your kids are not just like bouncing off the wall excited. Like, what are you thinking there?
Yeah, like I think when I remember back when my kids were a fair bit younger, I was excited for their expressions, but like it wasn't a big like because they didn't really know what it was, and yeah, they were opening up gifts and wrapping paper, whatever. But as they get older, they're getting into my tastes, right? So they want games that I want to play. So I am excited to, because I know what they're getting, to go in and play the games that they're playing, and a lot of them have to deal with co-op games and stuff. So I'm excited to get in with them and spend the time and go through gaming dad presents. So that is where I'm coming from. I'm hyped. I'm ready to go.
So are you looking at their list and thinking
Yeah.
like, I don't want that one. I don't want that one. Ooh, I want that one. Like, are you ranking?
Kind of. It's kind of like your Luigi Mansion 3, right? Like it's like, maybe
fair.
they'll like it for a little bit and then they don't really want it. So a lot of them on there were like, no, they're not. And like again, I'm just checking just to make sure.
The
My
quick look around.
youngest,
He's in the corner.
he put on a sequel without playing the original. I'm like, what are you doing? Like it was Ori
I
and the
t-
Will and the Wisps. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, you gotta play.
Have I
You gotta play the
taught you
first
nothing?
one. Yeah, exactly. So like, I would handpick some, and then some price points. Again, Nintendo. There were a lot of Nintendo games. Nintendo games are pretty expensive. So if they're getting, you know, a game, it's one Nintendo game and, you know, maybe some DLC somewhere. So yeah, I go through and see what is applicable to me. Maybe, I don't know.
It certainly helps with the blow of the cost for sure, because if it's
Yeah.
something that for the kid alone, especially if it's a Nintendo title, which is, you know, $80 never goes on sale,
No.
then ouch, that hurts. But it also, I will also enjoy this.
Yeah.
So it's not lost. And again, like you mentioned with Luigi, I'm happy my kid now is liking it, but there was a good time when he bounced off it.
Right.
But it wasn't too worrisome because it's like, you know what, like I will enjoy this. So it's not a complete lost cause. I'm certainly not happy about it. Not, of course, if I'd given that to him on Christmas morning and he's like, what is this? I hate this.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Different
Right?
solution.
You're not getting those reactions we saw in that video. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
well,
So that's kind of where I'd be curious where you and even like gaming dads listening, if you want to write in, is when that switch happened. Because my oldest, who's 5, is kind of getting it. Like he's kind of excited. He knows there's gifts coming, right?
Yeah.
And he had a list. He wrote Santa. Santa wrote back. But I just know that after the initial thrust of like great presents, and he's gonna kind of just want to go play, some Luigi's Mansion or with his toys, and like it's gonna be kind of one and done compared to what I remember my own excitement being, which was just off the wall, jazzed, couldn't wait for weeks. Like I was just super thorough. Was there a year that you can kind of remember when it just switched on for them? Where they, nice pun.
I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah. But when all of a sudden that just turned, where the kids it clicked that this is the most magical time of year.
I really think it was around that age. So like 6, 7. Because my 7-year-old right now is just been going bananas for the last month. He thought like, you know, again, time frames and kid brains don't really work properly. So he thought Christmas was coming for the last 30 days. So it was just a constant, like Christmas is like right around the corner. I'm like, no, you gotta wait. You still got school, and now they're off school, so it's just constant hype.
That's cool.
And we have the presents underneath the tree, right? You have the family presents, so they are constantly crawling up to them and seeing if they can
Give it a little poke, give it a little
a little shake. And it says, "Is tape a little loose? You know, can I peek in there?"
Take out my little X-Acto knife here and just take a little strip.
So they are definitely like ready to go, and it's fun to see. I don't know, I love it. I don't know if my wife loves it, but I love it, like, because it's a lot of energy at once, and I just think it can be too much for some people. So
God, I had a buddy, and I can't believe he pulled this off and even did it in the first place. So this is back in the N64. He had asked for, it must have been like an RPG or something, like some kind of large scale N64 game, and he had devised this whole system where one night, like and the presents were out for them. That was like for like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks before the day, right? So he had taken an X-Acto knife.
Oh my God.
And he had sliced it so perfect. And then he had replaced with a little bit of weight, like a beanbag or something.
Wow.
And he had played that game for a week, right up until Christmas. And then the night, like, you know, a couple days before, kind of just slipped it in the case. And then like Christmas morning, wow, look at that. Wow, it's got a save file already halfway through. Who would have ever imagined? It's just like it feels like you're kind of ruining it for yourself in some ways. Like,
yeah. Or like taking it away from the parents too, right? Like taking that moment away. But I guess if you're a good actor and you're just,
as long as he faked it, yeah. Like as long as he got super jazzed.
genius move though.
Bold move. I just
Yeah.
there's some kind of part where it's like, why? Like just wait and like it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
But it's like it's the sneak and like the slicing it so perfectly, and I'm trying to imagine, like I would have to imagine you would hope your parents would have, which I don't think this works anymore.
I don't think
because
it does.
as we're becoming more savvy. But if the parent walked past the screen, oh, what game is that? Is that Mario game?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Exactly. You can't
But
do that
now,
anymore.
It's like son, that's clearly Luigi's Mansion 3, which is I know is supposed to be under the tree. What the heck is going on?
Though there's always a tell when we had like Blockbuster Video and you can go rent games. My parents would purposely say, "You're not renting that game this week." Do you know what I mean? Like they would somehow like shove you off and like, no, we're not going to do that. Pick a movie instead.
Jeez, that's awesome. Oh my.
It was a tell.
Can you recall like the best game or console you received for Christmas? Like, do you have any kind of sharp memory of one of those?
Yeah, I did get an N64 for Christmas, and that was like
Oh my god!
the biggest present I ever got in my life. It was amazing. I
It's
loved it.
like,
It
my
was
wife tries to top it every year, and
nope,
every year she comes
never
short.
gonna happen. I no, it was like for me and my brother, it was a Nintendo 64, an extra controller, Mario, and Star Wars, Rogue Galaxy or something. I forget what it was called. Um, amazing. We played that all day. We had hot chocolate. It was snowing outside. It was like the best Christmas. It was like one of those typical like Christmas movie Christmases. I'll always remember that, and I hope it was good for my parents because I was like those kids in the video. I was hyped, man. I was not expecting it. It was expensive, like that list you were
Yeah.
talking about, like $400 or something. So that was a big,
Actually, good.
big gift.
I think it's
So
at least 400. See if I can find it. One sec.
yeah,
N64, N64, N64 in today's dollars 302. Not bad.
Yeah, that's still
It's like-
sizable.
That's like half the cost of a PS5.
It's a down payment. But no, that was definitely like I think it was probably 11 years old at the time. So me and my
that would've
brother
been
was
so
just
perfect.
ecstatic. Like it was the newest thing. I don't know what stock was like. I don't know. That never went through my head as a kid. But they got one and we had a blast with it. So I'm not
is
sure
so
if you had
cool.
the same with a game or something, but
With the game, I can remember the one year receiving Final Fantasy 9,
oh, nice.
which is one of, and it was soon after it come out, and that's that's one that I'd read about in game magazines. If
Yeah.
other gaming dads, I'm sure remember actual game magazines.
Yep.
Back in the day. So that's one of the, I was really hyped about that game, and then to get it, and much like you, we had a big family, so there's always there's a couple parties type of thing, right? You have your Christmas day, then you go somewhere, and then maybe a whole new batch of family comes for dinner. And I could remember this. Okay, I can leave and play the game for an hour, but then I need to stop and come down for 30 minutes. I gotta make an appearance,
Right.
and then I'm gonna go back up and play for an hour.
Yes.
But very much the same thing where it's just it just felt like you had infinite time that day.
Yeah.
Like time stood still, hot chocolate and all the other Christmas stuff. Like it was just perfect. So like that game, I remember that very specifically.
No, that was a good one. That's a good game to hold on to too. So
Oh man, one of my favorites. It's one of those one of the few that I've beat. Few Final Fantasies I've ever beat twice. So
Oh, yeah?
I tend to be just done with it. But I remember it came out on mobile and just had a blast beating it again.
yeah, no, that's a good one.
All the dad cheats turned on though. Just like I remember I lost to a few bosses. I'm like, I don't care, just God mode. I just want to I just want to play
I
through.
don't have time for this.
I'm not grinding. I'm not gonna grind this.
My hot chocolate's cold.
I know I beat the real thing.
That's right.
Like I know what's up.
Yeah.
But that actually kind of brought up an interesting point. And another thing I'd asked you. This is very much turning into interrogation
Yeah.
as I prepare for my kids as they get older. But it's and I'm curious if other gaming dads listening have the same. Is what occurred to me was as games go more digital. And in my case, again, I have the Xbox Series S, which means cannot have discs, not just no discs to be had.
Yeah.
And even if you did have the availability, let's say you had a Switch, but you can't find the cartridge, so you buy it from the Nintendo store. What does that look like for under the tree? Because like, what are you gonna do? Like, you're gonna wrap the Switch up again
That'd be hilarious.
and wrapping and have it. Oh, it's like this is just a Switch. Turn it on, son. And it's
not a
already
bad
like,
idea.
loaded. Probably bad. He shakes it and just like.
Yeah, yeah.
So as games go increasingly digital, like what do we do with that under the tree experience? Like cards, like
Yeah.
a box with nothing. Like what have you done? Have you come across this?
Well, what I have done and what my kids have done for me, because I'm usually digital, is we'll take an old game case and draw the front of it. So then you have like that personal touch, and it's the game or whatever,
That's
and
cute,
then it's
yeah.
inside. It's like it's your digital code or it's been downloaded for you, right? So it's something. I think with my kids, I want to give them like a physical item to at least know that it's under the tree and not just like this thin piece of paper, which
Yeah.
they're not too excited for, even if they don't know it's a digital code for something. But that's what we've worked out, is just usually the old game case. But I have run into that with my son asked for DLC for Zelda. So
Oh,
That one
Jeez,
was a roundabout way.
DLC for man, I've never thought about that. So what I want for Christmas is an
Yeah.
expansion to something I already own.
Yeah. And the
Wow.
problem is that it's under my account, right? So it's like my game. I have to go into the store and buy it. But then I have to make sure it doesn't show up in the game because it auto downloads everything, right? So immediately when you buy it, it just zips to download. And I don't know why it does it. It probably convenience because why else would you buy it? So I had to delete it, re-download it, just like base game, right? Patch it through, and then not go into the store to get the DLC, so it doesn't show because he's been playing it, and that's why he's kind of asked for it. But I'm worried that he'll go in there and see, that sitting there, and then my other son wants Sephiroth for Smash Brothers,
Yeah, yeah.
so like something like that, you have to like plan out like the night before. I'm gonna have to go into the store and just remember to buy it because it'll show up immediately.
So, so what I suggest you do is you have you find something you can, like a little tape recorder,
Okay.
right? So that so they have a little box open, it's like tape recorder, hit play, son. It's just you mouthing a cappella style the Sephiroth, the
I love it.
terrifying.
Oh, One Winged Angel. I'm all for it. That's a great idea.
You would just be
I got another day. I can hook this up.
right. So it's like, or it's the iPad. iPad just use the record
Yeah.
feature on it, and
Yeah.
like, what the heck is this? Like, just play the song.
Yeah. That's probably better for the kids because they'll be like tape recorder. What is
Yeah, it's like, what is it? What is this ancient
what is this
relic?
thing? Yeah.
They would understand. iPad, they could teach you a thing or two.
Yeah.
Okay, so you generally, I like the one where they draw the cover of it. That's incredibly darling because it's just that extra personal touch to something that's so far removed from the physical world. That's kind of nice.
Yeah. It kind of gives that extra added effort too, because I don't know. There's some effort going out to the store and getting it or having it shipped. I don't know, but it just adds that touch, which
Especially with the
works.
DLC. Yeah, I could see maybe too if like you got the I mean, it's kind of a tricky year this year to do such things, but if you're able to find like a figure of Sephiroth and then have that inside of a box, and then like he opens it, it's just that, and you're like, surprise! It's actually on Switch. Like,
Yeah, I have actually looked for that kind of stuff, or just something simple. But again, it's very hard when you're not in person because all those like little like, use an old term, knickknacks, are usually in store, right? And they're just on a shelf, not inventory. Like there's no like we don't know if we have it. So
yeah, I remember there was I think my mom for one of my nephews was trying to find a very specific Funko Pop.
oh yeah,
And
yeah.
the only one available was like somewhere middle of England, and
Oh
it
my
was
God.
it's like all right, this will either arrive December 12th, or February 18th. Huh? Just sit there, roll like, who's feeling lucky? Roll the dice.
Yeah, you're gonna roll the dice. Exactly. That's quite a spread, though. Like,
Yeah, I was like, it's
it's
either
stopped on
coming
the
by
boat.
plane or by like bottle. Like it's just like
Just have somebody like swim across the Atlantic. I'm not sure what.
so I wasn't exactly sure how on earth that would come about, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think I will come across it at some point because especially if my son ever starts playing my Xbox, he hasn't touched it yet, but if he ever does, then
Right.
obviously and he wants something for it, it'd have to be digital. So I think that's some pretty good ideas, and of course we'll reach out to any gaming dads listening. We'd love to hear or see how you solve for that particular issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I kind of want to end on what I think to be a real positive note, and I hope everybody listening will agree. What I found was some really interesting articles, and this is honestly going to a place where it's in support of both. I found some really interesting articles that were saying, you know what, like ultimately I find myself playing my Xbox more than my Xbox Series X more than my PS5. And I'm not saying like that's like the universal decision about it. What I like about the fact that that's true is that Xbox has a contender. It's like some people are really enjoying that console.
Hmm.
PS5, I think, obviously had a much stronger initial launch where people are like, wow, this feels truly next gen. This is really powerful. But to see kind of this come around story from Xbox where it's like, yeah, this is a really great console and I play a lot of games and the Game Pass is really transformational. But why that I take that to be such a positive thing is that uh, quantity issues aside,
Yeah.
both consoles are great. Like the launch happened, and both of them have a good console.
Yeah.
And there's something just kind of so reassuring. It's like really going overboard, but yeah, it's just I think that's happy. Like it's great for all involved that both of these systems are actually really great.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you think the last gen was like it was marred with some issues, right? Like there's online check-ins and like how you gonna trade games and all this other stuff that was like, it just didn't sit well with people. But I'm glad to see that both consoles kind of launched with, again, with the only glitch really being supply. There's so many people that want these things that not everyone's gonna get one, or they're gonna get IOUs at Christmas, which can work too. Like eventually they will get one. But yeah, it's interesting to see almost like this, unity. Like you've got a lot of people own maybe a PS5 and then they get the Xbox Series S to fill that little gap. And then they have a Switch on the side for portable stuff. Like it just seems like everybody's kind of falling into where they need to be. I'm not sure. Like I'm not sure where it'll go from here, but it is neat to see.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting on a podcast called Windows Weekly. The CMO, Chief Marketing Officer of Microsoft, went there, and they asked him some pretty pointed questions about the Xbox launch, and he was refreshingly candid, actually, which was really great to see. He wasn't trying to like shy away or do anything, and he's
marketing spin or whatever it is.
Yeah,
like,
he said he's basically unfortunate, and they asked him point blank. It's like, did you kind of nerf the numbers so that it was in high demand, so you got to say that it sold out? Like why did it like they didn't pull any punches? And he's like, that's absolutely not true. Like the truth is, like, nothing hurts us more. Like we want anybody who wants one, we want them to have it. It's like but between the capabilities of building it, from finding the chips, getting it shipped, like the extra stuff with the pandemic happening.
Yeah.
Like we just, as much as possible. I mean, every now and then we were able to cobble together like another 10,000 units, and we get them out to the partners as fast as we can. He's like, really, like nothing hurts us more than not being able to sell as many as possible. No, which is it just, I think, adds to an overall putting the garbage scalping aside.
Yeah,
it puts a general positive spin on the entire thing, where it's like two competing consoles, both came out, have kind of different offerings, and people seem to be enjoying it all.
Absolutely. And this year has been amazing for gaming. Just keeping people home, safe, out of the public eye. Is just, gaming was there for a lot of people just to, either relax or get into a good narrative or whatever. So it's a good year for gaming, and I'm glad that both launches went off pretty well.
Yeah.
And I got my PS5 sitting next to me too. So not to rub it in anybody's faces, but it's...
And Jeff got his.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think gaming, like, besides like the new console launch, like gaming definitely had a big year, in so much as I don't want to call it like transformational, but like the interesting stuff that happened with Twitch, like it continues to be more and more accepted as its own entertainment medium, like its own kind of type of TV. Some people really blew up on there. The consoles launched great. The some small indies break through, like Among Us. Hades wins Game of the Year. It's kind of from a smaller studio, super massive games. Like if there's ever a good year for gaming to shine, like this was it, and I think it did so. With a culmination of these massive new consoles launching to critical acclaim, and here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Gaming for everyone, and dads and kids. So generations.
The smallest like little positive thing is, if you remember good old Google Stadia.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Well, some of even for that, it gets a bit of a happy nod towards the end of the year, because they said, you know what? Or what people are finding is like the best place to play Cyberpunk 2077 is on Google Stadia,
which is hilarious.
Like, what, man? Take your win.
Exactly.
Take it, Stadia. You got it.
Give it away with the game. Like, just get it into people's houses. Just
the only thing this controller does is connects you to something that can actually play Cyberpunk with as few bugs as possible.
Yeah.
So Hey, that wins across the board. Great way to tie off the year. And I think that will wrap it up for us for the Christmas season. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening. This has been New Dad Gaming. If you have any of your own stories, be it consoles on Christmas morning or how you dealt with getting digital gifts under the tree, we'd love to hear from you about that. Please reach out to us. You can find us at our website, newdadgaming.com. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook at newdadgaming. And the podcast itself, if you'd like to subscribe, leave a comment, or share, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, any of the major, Pandora now actually, and any of the other major podcasting services. We'd really appreciate you subscribing and tossing us a note. Otherwise than that, it's been a heck of a year. We'll come back shortly, I think, for kind of a year in review or kind of roundup within the next couple of weeks from us gaming dads. So again, any big gaming stories you dads have, toss it in our way. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and until next time, my name is Trevor, and I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old.
And let's hope they don't listen to this until Christmas.
That's right. They're not going to.
Yeah, you better bar a whole podcast. Like, what did I get, Dad? Let's listen.
Nope.
Not till next year, son.
No.
All right.
All right.
Merry Christmas. Bye.
Happy holidays.